Before every doom, there is a portent. Before every apocalypse, a sign. Hearken, World Claimer, is that dark omen given form. And the otherworldly destruction he heralds is the coming of the War Master himself. Hearken takes a heinous joy in his role as the mouthpiece of Abaddon, for it is he that proclaims the death of worlds. He does so not with some quotidian threat or hollow boast, but by driving a spear of terror and confusion deep into the heart of citizen and soldier alike. In such a fashion he prepares the way for the coming of the Black Legion, as his airborne hosts descend on the tongues of flame. Hello everybody and welcome back. Today we will be talking about Hearken, World Claimer, the Herald of the Apocalypse. Now this guy is a bit mysterious. He does have one of the absolute dopest models in all of the Chaos Space Marine range, but what's his deal? Why does he look so cool? He's got to have something going on, right? So let's dive into some lore straight from the 10th edition Codex. For thousands of years now, the Night Lords have been a fractured legion. Most seek nothing more than to raid, plunder, and kill. The warbands that have emerged from the ranks often serve under other chaos forces as mercenaries or battle one another for supremacy. It was in this crucible of murder and treachery that the warrior who would become Hearken, World Claimer rose to prominence at the head of the warband known as the Gloom Talons. Riding the tides of the warp, the Gloom Talons descended upon dozens of Imperial worlds, never striking the same region of space twice. Ever were their attacks heralded by Hearken's proclamations, booming across planetary Vox networks to pronounce his coming victory and the doom that would soon befall the populace. Each such proclamation was followed by formations of jump pack equipped raptors, striking from the night sky to butcher any brave or foolhardy enough to resist and leaving the mutilated bodies of their victims strewn around for all to see. Always did the Gloom Talons round up carefully selected captives, governors, nobles, and planetary officials. To these terrified survivors did Hearken offer a choice: turn their back upon the Imperium and pay tribute to the Night Lords, or suffer an agonizing death. To enforce these threats, Hearken seated on every planet cultists, loyal eyes that would report unto him any treachery. Thus did the coffers of the Gloom Talons swell evermore, yet riches and plunder could not fill the emptiness in Hearken's black soul. Despite such victories, however, satisfaction eluded him. He looked upon the corpse worshipper's realm with a blazing fury and longed for a chance to strike a telling blow at its malfeasant heart. Hearken's prayers would soon be answered, for his ambition and vision had drawn the attention of Abaddon the Despoiler. As the War Master mustered his forces to strike forth upon his fifth Black Crusade, he offered Hearken and his Gloom Talons the honor of fighting alongside the Black Legion. The Despoiler spoke plainly, offering no guarantee of plunder and riches, but instead the opportunity to strike a meaningful blow against the hated Imperium. It was as if he peered into the World Claimer's soul. Hearken knew at once he had found that which he sought, a champion with the strength, charisma, and peerless vision to bring the Imperium to its knees. Serve well, Abaddon promised, and further opportunities for glory would present themselves. During the ensuing strike on the primary stronghold of the Elysian sector, the Imperial city of Cassir Luton on Taranth, Hearken's Gloom Talons made landfall upon the surface ahead of Abaddon's invasion force. Unleashing a horrific campaign of terror, Hearken's Gloom Talons made landfall upon the surface ahead of Abaddon's invasion force, unleashing a horrific campaign of terror upon the defenders. Raptor Talons tore through the Imperial soldiers by the hundred, bedecked in skins and skulls harvested from flensed victims. The Gloom Talons haunted the burning city's spires like ghoulish monsters from Terran myth. Defenders scattered before their merciless predations. The tortured screams of the Raptors' victims echoed through smoldering streets as Hearken and his brothers visited unspeakable acts of violence upon them. In the Gloom Talons' wake marched the Black Legion and their infernal allies, Abaddon at their head, and to annihilate what remained of its thoroughly demoralized populace. Whilst the grinding conflict that followed eventually saw the Crusaders forced back into the Eye of Terror, The carnage that they had wrought upon the Elysian sector was terrible indeed. Having witnessed firsthand Abaddon's strength of will and sheer might of the forces he could bring to bear, Harkon and his Gloom Talons swore allegiance to the Despoiler. In the centuries since Harkon donned the ebon plate of the Black Legion, he has solidified his place in the vanguard of Abaddon's Black Crusades. Countless worlds have fallen by his hand, and lending his moniker, World Claimer. The War Master has since acknowledged Harkon World Claimer's loyal and effective service by bestowing upon him the title Herald of the Apocalypse, and with it the Hell Spear, a demon weapon of fell power befitting its bearer's vaunted position. Though the duty of many heralds is complete upon their lord's arrival, Harkon World Claimer revels in bringing destruction in person as well as from afar. He hastens to wherever the planet's denizens are coordinating their defenses, from winding supply chains to remote command bunkers, and there he strikes. Descending from the skies alongside vast flocks of jump-pack warriors, Harkon plunges toward the nerve centers of the enemy's war efforts. With thunderous bellows, he proclaims to his foes that the hour of their doom has arrived, and that the slaughter shall not cease until the earth has been anointed with every last drop of their blood. While the enemy scrabbles to intercept World Claimer, drawing forces from the front lines to drive back his assaults, the Despoiler's armies on the ground move in to capitalize on the confusion, tearing into disorganized flanks and shattering disordered formations. In the wake of Abaddon's 13th Black Crusade, the Black Legion have carved a bloody path through the Nockmund Gauntlet, shattering the defenses of Imperial outposts and fortress worlds, reducing void fleets to atoms and butchering billions. Always at the forefront of this brutal and unrelenting advance is the Herald of the Apocalypse, tasked by the Despoiler with leading the Black Legion's assault and crushing all resistance. The proclamations of Harkon World Claimer continue to spell the doom of new worlds with each passing battle. Devoid of pity and mercy, Harkon World Claimer is utterly devoted to Abaddon's cause. He is committed to carving a path to the Sol System, regardless of how many worlds he must drown in blood. He longs for the day when he will plunge the tip of the Hell Spear into Terra's surface, and in doing so proclaim a fittingly violent end to the Corpse Emperor's reign. Now, in the book, we have one more little bit of lore here about the Hell Spear. Harkon's demon-touched relic, the Hell Spear, has tasted the blood of monarchs, Xenos tyrants, and even Chaos Lords over his long service as herald to the Despoiler. And each demoralizing kill invigorates him, driving him to further acts of bloodshed. Yet it is not only the chests of warriors into which the Hell Spear is plunged. It has become a symbolic act for Harkon, upon making planetfall, to drive the weapon deep into the world's crust and roar out the fell promise that the planet will fall. He has yet to be proven wrong. And with that, let's go to the spinny shots. Alright gang, so, the World Claimer. This guy is so cool. He is so dope. I love it. And didn't even know that he was formerly a Night Lord until getting this codex. And being a Night Lord fan, I had to paint him up in the Night Lord colors so that he could lead all of my Raptors and Warp Talons and the like. Also, if you're still hanging out, I want to thank everybody who is listening until the end. And if you want to hang out with me while I paint these minis, make sure to come over to twitch.tv/drinkyourpaintwaterlive. A link to that will be down in the description. And give me a subscribe on here, a like over there, a follow on another thing, all that good stuff, where we will be hanging out, goofing off, talking about how cool Chaos is, and painting up some cool minis. So with that, I'll see you in the next one.